The Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade Committee on the 2011 financial review of the New Zealand Antarctic Institute be noted. John Hayes.
Thank you, Chair, and for the benefit of my colleague across the House, there are no polar bears in the Antarctic. I know that. I don't know what school you went to and how good your teachers were. No polar bears in the Antarctic. So I'll just take you back a bit because you don't seem to know much about the Antarctic. And a review back in 1994 recognised that the Antarctic was strategically important to New Zealand. And this led to the establishment of the New Zealand Antarctic Institute, known as Antarctica New Zealand. And that was sorted through in 1996. I think it would be fair to say, Chair, that the Antarctica is seen as the last pristine area in the world. And all of us in New Zealand see that preserving and protecting the Antarctica is a vital role of the government. Antarctica New Zealand is the Crown entity responsible for developing, managing and executing New Zealand's activities in Antarctica and in the Ross dependency, and it reports to the Foreign Affairs, Trade and Defence Committee annually on its performance. Antarctica New Zealand manages Scott Base, which is New Zealand's Antarctic research station, and it maintains, without sun at this time of the year, and it maintains New Zealand's operational presence in the Ross dependency for the benefit of present and future generations of Kiwis. Key activities include supporting scientific research, conserving the intrinsic values of Antarctica and in the Southern Ocean, and raising public awareness of the international significance of the continent. Mr. Chair, I think the Antarctic Institute is well rated, both in financial and service performance terms, and its operational presence, environmental stewardship and public engagement has been very good. The Crown provides annual revenue of around just under $14 million, and in this last financial year under review, it had a net operating surplus of $400,000. Most important, it achieved a cost saving of 30% of its budget, and it met that. It also made very significant savings in fuel. Something like, in the financial year under review, 666,000 litres of fuel that it did not need to use down on the Antarctic. And that is 44% more than the target fuel savings for last year. The installation of wind-driven generators has contributed to this outcome, and particularly to the future energy security both of the American McMurdo station and New Zealand Scott Base. And I think that this relationship around the supply of energy to both stations reinforces a long and a very successful relationship with the United States Antarctic Program. Just a couple of words, Mr. Chair, about the New Zealand Antarctic Research Institute. This was launched by the Prime Minister earlier this year, and it will lead to multidisciplinary, multinational research down in the Antarctic. And this vehicle has been established as a means to attract new international funding, working in collaboration with the private sector. The public-private partnership is an innovative new model for science funding and will ensure we continue to build capacity in New Zealand's polar science community. That institute has already completed the first international study on Antarctic tourism impact, and they've partnered with Landcare Research to lead international development of an Antarctic environmental portal to better manage ecosystems. It's also undertaken a joint recovery with the United States of a 763-metre long core from Roosevelt Island, a world-leading climate record of the last 30,000 years. Finally, Chair, I think it's also worth thinking about the importance of the Antarctic industry to Christchurch, because it contributes around about $280 million every year to the Christchurch or to the Canterbury economy. And that really imposes, I think, Chair, a particular obligation on Chief Executive Lou Sanson and his team, and the Chair Rob Fenwick and his board, to be thinking creatively about how to expand a significant benefit for future generations.
Is there any further speakers? Well, if there's no further speakers, then... okay. No, well, no. Do I have to go into here?
We have to note the report.
No, hang on. I've got to... there's any more speakers on this debate. The question is that the report of the Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade Committee on the 2011-12 financial review of the New Zealand Antarctic Institute be noted. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. I understand that the next entity members wish to debate is Housing New Zealand Corporation. The question is that the report of the Social Services Committee